Well, greetings, Boise State fans. Welcome on back, Bronco Nation News, BroncoNationNews.com. Really excited for this one. Pleased to be joined by former Boise State linebacker Riley Whimpey, kind enough to join us here. And Riley, appreciate you for doing this, man. How are you today?
Doing good. Thank you for letting me be a part of this. It's weird. It's weird hearing you say former Boise State football player.
Well, what have the last couple of days been like for you since the season has, you found out you weren't going to get to go to the bowl game. You've had a couple of days to process that now. What's the feeling like?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely tough hearing the news that our bowl game was going to be canceled. It was definitely a tough pill to swallow, but after we found out, my wife and I decided to, pack the next morning and, head to Utah and spend some time with family. And so I've just tried to keep busy and try not to think about it too much.
Well, we did want to give the opportunity for fans to kind of reach out to you and ask some questions to you and speak to you. So we won't waste any more time with that. We put it out there via email. We're going to hopefully have a couple join us via video live as well. But I guess it's a good question to start with. Riley, Logan Dominguez, a big Boise State fan, says, now that your football playing days are done, what comes next? And have you ever thought about returning to the Broncos to coach someday?
Yeah, I mean, so, personally, I've never really thought I would go into the coaching career to answer the last part of that question. But as far as what comes next, I've been talking about for a while now that I've wanted to go to, dental school. There's a few things that I'll need to do in order to do that, like take some prereqs to get into dental school in the first place. But I'm also open to, my brother's a regional manager at a skilled nursing facility. And so I'm also interested in getting to, shadow him and look into that profession. And so that's kind of where I'm looking as far as what I'm, going to do next.
Mark chimes in, so they don't have a question for Riley, but please thank him for being a class act off and on the field. A great example to those that are following in his footsteps. And I know that was a big deal to you, Riley. I know we asked you a couple weeks ago, what do you hope folks remember about you in 10 years? And the first thing you said was that people thought I said hi to them and was nice to them. How big was your reputation off the field important to you just as it was on the field?
Yeah, I would say my reputation off the field was just as important or even more important to me than on the field. I've always tried to be the guy who says hi to everybody, who, looks for the person who, may be having a rough day. And so I'd hope that, now that I'm done, that the impact I've left on the program is that, that I was that guy who, made the effort to reach out to those who were struggling, or made sure that, whoever was struggling, I made sure that I was there for them through those tough times. But that's the reputation that I hope I left on Boise State over the past few years.
David Gardner, big Boise State fan, emailed with a couple questions. Did want to know how it was decided that you're going to move on from football.
Yeah, so towards the beginning of the season, I originally had planned to go, had plans to pursue an NFL career. Obviously, now that's changed. The biggest thing for me was, throughout my career at Boise State, I've had a lot of concussions. I'd say diagnosed, I've had, over 5. Undiagnosed, honestly, I couldn't tell you. I've probably had, quite a few more than the diagnosed. But when it came down to it, just my health and my future is more important to me. And, concussions, there's just so many things unknown about the long-term effects, and I just figured it'd be best for me to move on to the next stage of my life.
Another one from David here. You mentioned are you interning with a dentist in Meridian? Is that true? You said someone saying that they referenced that. Is that true, or did you mention that?
So I didn't intern with a dentist down there, but I did shadow a dentist down there a few times, and it was a great experience.
All right, we're going to try this here first. We're going to go to our first official guy here. There's Carson, big Boise State fan. Carson, I'm going to mute you if you cuss or say something mean here. We'll get you out of here real fast. So we're going to try this on the fly. But you are now have the floor, Carson. You're speaking to Riley Whimpey here, man. Go ahead.
Awesome. Thanks, Riley, for everything you did. It's been a blast watching you on the blue. I've been watching you for the last 4 years, and it's been awesome. My question for you is, as you've been traveling with Boise State and everything, where was your favorite place to play on the road, and like why? Like, what experiences did you have on the road that made it the best place?
Oh man, that's a great question. First of all, I appreciate what you said at the beginning. It's been a pleasure to be a part of the Boise State football team the past few years. Oh man, I've always thought that when we went to Oklahoma State, that stadium was pretty sweet. You know, every other stadium that I've been to, the fans kind of sit back a ways, but Oklahoma State fans were like right on top of us. Like you could literally reach back and touch them. And so it was a pretty hostile environment, and I had a great time there.
Awesome. Thanks, Riley.
Yeah, no problem, Carson. Take care, man.
There it is. Carson, appreciate you for chiming in. We're 1 for 1 so far. We do have Ryan. I think you're on the stream too, but we can't see your face, Ryan. So if Ryan wants to make sure we can see him there, we'll get him on there in a second. Let's go over here to Mr. Price. Mr. Price, welcome to you. Thanks for being a subscriber. You're going here with Riley Whimpey, sir. Take it away.
Hey, Riley, how you doing? By the way, BJ, good stuff. This is going to just keep steamrolling ahead and catching on. So it's good. Keep working at it.
Thank you.
So Riley, just wanted to thank you for your 5 years as a Bronco. Right? I think it's 5 years, right?
Yeah, it's been 5 years. So.
And if I remember right, at least a starter or a co-starter for most of that time. Is that right, too?
Yeah. So when I had first got here, Leighton was in front of me, so I had the pleasure of learning from him, and then he left for the draft, and I filled that spot.
Yeah, great. So I think we've already touched on the subject about what your future holds for you. So that's we won't go over that again. But so you stepped on here as a little bit older freshman, if I remember right, 5 years ago. What are those real pros, those real remembering moments that you had over the last 5 years?
Oh man, there's so many memories over the past 5 years that have stuck with me and will stick with me through the rest of my life. A lot of those being attributed to off the field even, but on the field and the football memories. One of the most memorable moments for me is probably when we played Hawaii in the Mountain West Championship game at home. That was something that I'll never forget, and was such an awesome thing to be a part of.
Great. One more real quick question, and this one is maybe a little bit harder to answer, but what is the state of the next great BSU linebacker room? What do you see as far as that room goes next year or the year after? Yeah.
So first and foremost, Zeke's coming back. He's going to be there another year, so I feel like he's going to continue to grow and have a big impact on the team and on the defense specifically. We have DJ Schramm at Mike linebacker as well as Brandon Hawkins. Those guys, prior to last year, didn't have as much experience playing, but I feel like this last year gave them that experience that they need to continue to boost their game and make it, be able to play at the next level that they can. Both those guys are extremely athletic and smart guys, and when they're on the field, they know what they're doing and can be trusted. When it comes to the younger guys, Ty Tanner has been a guy that stands out to me. He's always done what he's asked. He always works hard, and I wouldn't be surprised if he, has an impact in future years, as well as Marco Notarini. He, continues to surprise me. He's extremely athletic. Once he, puts more weight on, I think he'll have a huge impact in the LB room.
Great. Thanks, Riley. Good luck to you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Take care.
Appreciate it, Mr. Price. Thank you for the kind words there. And Riley breaking a little news for us there with Zeke Noah. That's going to be great. I think everybody assumed he was leaning towards coming back, but that's obviously a big deal for him. Let's scroll through here, Riley. We're rolling along, and we appreciate you doing this. A couple of these have already been asked, but Derek Allen wondering, well, again, some things maybe you can say more now that you're no longer part of the program, but someone wondering the biggest differences between Avalos and Harsin as head coaches. What would you say in terms of playing for two different head coaches, kind of some of the differences, whether just in terms of the way they ran practice or meetings or just their personalities? What were some of the differences from your two head coaches?
Yeah, I mean, it was a privilege to be able to be coached by both. They are pretty different, but they're both, in my eyes, have been successful. I'm extremely grateful for Coach Harsin. He was the head coach at the time that I got brought in to the program. Coach Avalos was there as the linebackers coach, and I believe he was the DC at the time. So both those guys were there, throughout my initial recruiting process. But like I said, both are successful coaches. Man, I'm trying to think of, Coach Harsin did a great job at building relationships. So does Coach Avalos. Both of them are great coaches. I'm trying to, think of, the specifics of how they'd be different. But like I said, they're both great coaches. Even though they do things a little bit differently as far as, when it comes to practice, the periods are different as far as how things are get rolling. But other than that, they're both successful and are both going to continue to be successful in whatever they do.
Derek Allen wondering to know, Riley, one or two, you kind of touched on this, the linebacker room, but maybe just either the defense as a whole or even the whole team. You obviously played against the offense. Who are one or two players to look out for next year that maybe some of the fans don't know a ton about, maybe didn't play a ton, that maybe are ready to take that next step and make an impact?
Yeah, a few guys that come to mind. Latrell Caples, he did get some playing time. Had a great catch in the San Diego State game. I think this next year is a great opportunity for him to step up with Khalil leaving and a few other guys in the receiver room. But I think he's going to have a huge impact this next season. I'm trying to think. I think Marco has an opportunity to have a big impact this next season. Ahmed, defensive lineman, he saw some time this past year, and I think he's only going to continue to grow and have a huge impact on the D-line. He came in as a freshman and is extremely strong and is athletic, and he's only going to continue to get better. So there's a few guys just to name a few.
Marshall Most chimes in wanting to know if you got much grief from your older brothers for choosing the Broncos over the Aggies.
No, honestly, they were super supportive of me. They, as many people know, went to Utah State. I actually went on a visit there prior to my Boise State visit, and everything went great there. You have nothing bad to say about that program, but I just felt better with Boise State and felt like it was best for me personally, and they were completely supportive of that.
All right, we'll try to bring Ryan Edwards on here. His video's not working, so it may just be his audio here, Riley. But Ryan, I believe we got you now. You can go ahead with your question for Riley Whimpey.
We good? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we're good. Go ahead, man.
All right, perfect. So, Riley, I got a couple questions here, kind of technical questions. I'm curious to know, how did you guys prepare for the Air Force? How do you prepare for the triple option? And what is your base scheme? And how did it differ this year compared to years under Harsin?
Yeah, so Air Force, is obviously an offense that is extremely different from, the offenses that you usually face within the Mountain West or in general. It's something that we start very, very early in the year, in the summer to fall camp. It's something that we always try and keep fresh in our heads so that when, the week comes that we do play them, it's stuff that isn't new to us. A lot of what we do, honestly, is pretty similar to previous years, even under Coach Harsin. I mean, Coach Avalos was the DC, so I mean, a lot of what we did was similar. There's very, very minimal changes to what we do. Just trying to switch things up so that they don't know what we are doing. But as far as the basics and what when it comes down to the fundamentals of the defense that we run against them, a lot of it is very similar to what we have run in previous years.
Interesting. And my second question for you, Riley, is what is Spencer Danielson's specialty? What sticks out to him as a coach that he just knows the most simplest, or he can explain most simplest and has the most knowledge about?
When it comes to Coach D, he's always, I've always been super impressed with his ability to form relationships with players, but also to hold them accountable. Everybody knows that, Coach D, when he's coaching you, is coming from a, place of love. And so a lot of guys are very accepting of his coaching because they know, even when he gets on them, that it's, that he's trying to make them the best player that they can be. And so I feel like that's one of his specialties. He's able to, not let the relationship with the player get in the way of them reaching their potential. And I think that's, something that a coach needs to have in order to have an impact on players when they, whether it's on the field or off the field. One thing also, he stresses off the field, like having things in order off the field so much, because if you don't have your life in order off the field, you're not even going to be able to compete on the field. And so those are just a few things to name a few.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it, Ryan, for chiming in. We got a couple more minutes here. We'll try to hurry through some of these, Riley. Braden White wanting to know, with there being some animosity from the media and some older Boise State fans, how did the team feel about being involved with Barstool Sports and the Barstool Bowl?
Yeah, I mean, everybody was pretty excited about it. We were looking forward to being able to play Central Michigan. It was the first Barstool Bowl game in Arizona, and so we were looking forward to the opportunities and experiences that we were going to be able to have there. Me personally, I don't know too much about Barstool, but I was excited about everything that was happening, and just another opportunity to play, to be honest. But I think the overall feel of the team was we were excited and ready to go.
How did that actually go down? Did you guys actually get back and have a practice? And I heard, maybe you did, and some guys were being like pulled off the practice field when results were coming back. Or what can you tell Boise State fans just about that weird couple of days where and then ultimately it resulted in you found out you weren't going to be able to play in the game?
Yeah, so we had the opportunity to go home for Christmas. And then we were returning home on Sunday, the 26th. That day, we had heard of, a few coaches and players who had gotten COVID, but nothing was brought up about the game being canceled at that point. We got into town and had a lift and a run on Sunday evening. And the plan was to have a walkthrough the next day on Monday around in the afternoon. So we actually all showed up for the walkthrough. We were going through the walkthrough about halfway through, I would say a few, but like a lot of guys were getting pulled, and a lot of those guys were key guys. And it was, everybody was kind of like, what's going on? We finished the walkthrough. Obviously we had noticed that Mark Paul, our head trainer, had taken those guys out. So a lot of us had questions as to why they were getting pulled out, but we kind of assumed that it was because of COVID. A lot of these guys were feeling perfectly fine too, which is the most frustrating part. So after that, they let us, we kind of stopped things, had lunch. They spread us all out in the indoor. And, we even got into going through our pre-practice rituals of going through the hurdles and stretching. And then we saw Coach Avalos come out with Jeremiah Dickey and one of the docs, and they broke the news to us that the game was no longer going to be played because we had no longer had enough people to even participate. So it was extremely tough, and I'm still feeling it to this day. But yeah, I mean, it was very shocking to say the least. We had practiced 3 weeks up until that point, and we're ready to go. So it was frustrating.
What was that? I assume it was silent, or were guys cussing or pissed, or what was that moment like when Jeremiah Dickey or whoever delivered the news to you guys that there would be no game? What was that immediate shock feeling like amongst you guys there? And did you guys think you had enough that you could have still tried to go play, or what was kind of the situation like?
Yeah, I mean, initially it was very quiet. Coach Avalos broke the news to us. Jeremiah Dickey said a few words, and then it was opened up to the team to talk. And initially it was very quiet, and I think a lot of guys were speechless. Didn't really know how to feel at that moment. As one of those guys, I was in shock, and it didn't necessarily hit me right when the news broke, but once guys started talking, it's very emotional and very tough to swallow that news.
Well, hey, man, let's end on a little bit more of a positive, I guess, here with our final question. David Polton wanting to know, obviously the questions about how good you guys were in the red zone, but maybe some of the other parts of the field not as good. What was kind of the philosophy, I guess? Was it a bend but don't break philosophy, he says? Why do you think the defense maybe struggled a little in the middle of the field, but then was so good, there in the red zone?
As a defense, we don't want to see ourselves as we do want to be a bend but don't break defense, but at the end of the day, we don't want to let any offense get into the red zone just so we can stop them there. If we can stop them, on the opposite side of the field or even, midfield, like we're happy about that. So I think it just comes down to consistency, consistent in our technique. I feel like that's something that we didn't do as well at the beginning of the year, but as the year went on and we were able to address some of those issues, that's something that we improved upon. And so just being more consistent in all 11 players executing their 111 each and every play, because 10 guys can execute, but if there's just one guy who messes up, and that's all it takes for an offense to get into the red zone. And so just making sure that all guys are ready to go, top to bottom, and can consistently execute day in and day out.
A couple of the Facebook things here showing up. We already answered this question about getting into coaching, Chris. You can go back and listen to the beginning of that. Riley, Andy Hill just doesn't have a question, but just wants to say thanks for your hard work, dedication to BSU. You're the man. Enjoyed watching you play on the blue. Good luck to you, Riley. You mentioned kind of getting emotional or getting choked up just thinking about your career being over and having it end the way it did. I guess final question, Riley, how do you kind of just sum up your time in Boise, your time as a Boise State Bronco, and obviously it didn't end the way that you wanted it to, not getting a chance to go out on your own terms at that final game. How do you kind of just sum up the last 5 years and put it all in perspective here to wrap this thing up?
Yeah, the past 5 years have been nothing short of amazing. I'm super blessed and grateful to have been a part of this program. It's shaped me into the man that I am today. There's so many people that I've met, relationships that I've made that will last a lifetime, and memories as well that, things that I'm never going to forget. Through the good times and the bad times, there's so many things that I've learned that I'll be able to apply into the future. And if I could go back, I wouldn't change a thing about the past 5 years. I left it all out there, and I did my best every day and did my best to lead and to be a friend and to be somebody who will be remembered for, how nice they were and the person that they were off the field rather than they were on the field.
Well, Riley, hey, man, appreciate your time. Been great to cover you the last 4 or 5 years. I actually still had your number in my phone as Riley Whimpey, BSU, from when you committed. When did you commit? Back in like 2013 or something? Or when did you first commit?
Yeah, it was plenty of years ago. I think it was 2014.
Okay. And you were from Utah, but you had gone to California or back up, vice versa, right? Or you had the connection there. And then I think I remember when I went to send you a DM, the last DM was us communicating, back when you had committed back in 2014 via DM. So just crazy how time flies, man. But been great to get to know you. And I know folks, fans, everybody's going to continue to follow your career, and whatever you end up doing, you're obviously going to do great things. So best of luck to you and your wife and everything moving forward with your career. And you're always going to be one of those true Broncos, and hope we see you back at the alumni days and the spring socials and all that kind of stuff, man. Really do appreciate your time today.
Well, thank you so much. I'm definitely going to stick around and support BSU. I'm going to be a BSU fan for life. So I look forward to watching this next year's team. I know that they have so much potential, and I can't wait to see what they're able to do.
Well, appreciate it, Riley. Thanks again for your time, and best of luck moving forward.
Awesome. Thanks, BJ. Take care.
There he is. Riley Whimpey. Appreciate his time. Awesome of him to come in and take user questions there, and hope everybody enjoyed that. So thank you to Riley Whimpey for the time today. And yeah, man, just can't imagine that feeling being there at practice and seeing players. He did say coaches too. If you noticed that, he said players and coaches. So it sounds like there were a few coaches that, according to Riley, had gotten COVID too. So the game ended up being canceled, obviously. And so certainly disappointing for him as a senior. You think you have one final game as a player, and then all of a sudden, next thing you know, the game gets canceled and you're done. So man, just very disappointing for him, but appreciate all of the folks. Hopefully, if you're a subscriber, you're able to get your question in. I think we got to all the questions that we had. There was one on the comments that we couldn't get to, but I believe all the subscribers that emailed us, we got at least one of your questions in. So thank you for being a subscriber. If you're not a subscriber, we're going to have more chats and things like this moving forward. So you can get in now. $52 for the whole year using that promo code BNN New Year. BNN New Year over at BroncoNationNews.com will get you a full year subscription for just $52. That comes out to $1 a week. So we'll have the subscriber only chats like this, and you can get on screen, ask him your question, other things we're working on. So exclusive recruiting content, some other breaking news, things like that. So thank you to all of our sponsors. You see them on the screen there: Transportation Compliance Service, Boise Dentistry Co., the Blue and Orange Store, United Commercial Insurance, Lithia Ford of Boise, Ridley's Family Markets, Bousher Real Estate, Idaho Central Credit Union, and of course our title sponsor, rowpaint.com. I'm sporting the Row Paint shirt here. So appreciate all of our sponsors for helping us and allowing us to do this, and hopefully you'll consider using one of our sponsors moving forward. We're going to tell you more about them. We got some really cool things, guys. This is just the beginning here at Bronco Nation News. We got some big announcements on the way. Hopefully going to finalize some big time things for Bronco Nation News in terms of expanding the live shows, more of a daily live show, and some other things we're working on. So really excited. Stay tuned. Can't wait for that, and appreciate all you guys for checking out this video. Appreciate our sponsors, and again, appreciate Riley Whimpey for giving us his time and taking your questions. So if you have any suggestions, questions, things you like, don't like about BroncoNationNews.com, things you'd like to see, future guests you'd like to see us interview, anything that you'd like to see, you can just email me directly, rains@BroncoNationNews.com. Just rains@BroncoNationNews.com. We will get to that and try to make this site as we continue to grow it and make it the biggest and better as we can. Thank you to Colin Mitchell, our associate reporter, for helping out today. Thanks to you. And again, we will talk to you soon. The Boise State basketball team still on the COVID pause. We're trying to work on more information on that and have you an update for that on what's going on with the basketball team. They're supposed to play next on Friday against Colorado State. And that game to this point has not been canceled, but we will keep you updated as to what's going on with the basketball team. So thanks again. Take care. We will talk to you later. Bronco Nation News, BroncoNationNews.com.
Welcome back to the Blue, Albertson Stadium, home of your Boise State Broncos, the bastion of Bronco Nation, a field of dreams where greatness has become a tradition. Whether you're new to Idaho and this is your first game, or your family has had season tickets for 3 generations, Lithia Ford of Boise wants you to know you're welcome here.
When it comes to concrete, we've got you covered. Rowpaint.com offers custom concrete coating services for your garage, business, warehouse, and more. And we do it in one day. We are your complete concrete coatings solution.